we'll be talking about a movie called Philosophy of a Knife. Philosophy of a Knife is directed by a Russian filmmaker named Andrey Iskanov. I'd heard of his films. I'd seen some clips from a movie he did called Nails. Was really into it, really wanted to check his shit out. He sent me some files online one night. I could never get them to line up, could never get them to work for me, so he ended up sending me actual DVDs of all of his films to check out. First thing I did was pop in Philosophy of a Knife. I've been wanting to see it, so I watched it. Philosophy of a Knife brutally retells a story of the infamous Japanese experimental camp in Russia called Unit 731. From its beginnings in the 1930s to its demise in 1945, it actually seems to be laid into play during World War I. But the point of the story focuses more during the beginnings of World War II in the Holocaust era. There's pictures and scenes here in this film that may or may not be actual clippings and actual footage taken from this experimental unit during these times. The Philosophy of a Knife is told from the nurse's point of view, narrated by the actress Manoush, from actual documentation of an actual the actual translator to the Japanese during this time, Anatoly Protozov. Evidently, what you see in this movie, what you're told, and what you hear actually happened. It's not made up. Actual situations, actual scenes. There are things in this movie that no one should ever have to endure. Experiment after experiment after experiment. You sit in disgust at the shit that these doctors are doing to people. They take these people, man, and they lay them on tables. And they expose them. They expose them to Hiroshima-like radiation amounts. Straight up, just melting sides of their faces off. Fucking fingers just straight up fucking melt off of their hands. Take them off the table, take them back to their room, lock them up, and they finish later on. They inject, or they force known STD patients to brutally rape the women prisoners that they have in this camp to see what it will do to them. That's the point. There's really no objective here other than the fact that they want these people to endure some of the most horrific shit that a body can take to see how it will happen, see how it will react, see what they will do. Keep in mind, man, this is the Russians. This is the Russians and the Japanese doing this shit during the German Holocaust. It's not the Germans, man, it's the Russians. Off in the snowy area, away from the battle, doing worse shit than what the Germans were doing. Completely overlooked by what they were doing because of all the horrific shit that Hitler and the Nazis were doing. Man, I don't really know where to go with this. This movie, documentary movie, it really depends on how you look at it. It kind of plays out both ways. It's just fucked up, people. I mean, I've talked about them before. You know, You've seen these movies, such as Necromantic. You've seen the Cannibal Holocaust. You've seen the Irreversibles. You've seen the Aftermath. The list can go on and on and on. Some of the most brutal supposed movies made to date. I don't know. I've watched this movie with other people that have passed out. I've watched this movie with people that got up and left. They didn't want to fucking watch it. It was too much. They just couldn't deal with what they were seeing. I mean, it's some pretty. I mean, you're watching this shit, and the first time that I watched it, it completely gives me that feeling that I need to go take a fucking shower, man. I felt dirty. I felt disgusted. I really felt like a piece of shit for watching this movie. It's bad. I mean, I was offended by some of the shit I saw in this. There were a few times that I was just kind of like, dude, I really don't want to fucking finish watching this. I mean, it's almost like you're watching a fucking snuff film. You know, it's kind of like there's really not a whole lot of plot to the story. Sadly, I mean, it has its moments. It has so much potential, but it almost seems like about halfway through this. I mean, keep in mind, man, this shit is 4 hours long. It's hard enough watching some of this shit for 2 hours. I talk about Imprint. You know, that's only an hour long. Picture watching some of the shit that you see in Imprint for 4 straight hours. It's bad. It's fucked up. It's creepy. And it does what it sets out to do, however. It does make you think. It does make you question. I mean, the movie is really fucked up. I mean, you hear all the stories about shit that happened to people during the Holocaust. The whole Anne Frank story. Yeah, the shit sucked. You know, Schindler's List. There was a lot of bad shit that happened to a lot of people during that time. A lot of stuff that, you know, should easily never have happened. The shit these people do in Unit 7 or 731 is fucked up, man. I can't believe. I actually went and looked some of this shit up. I didn't believe that it was possible. You know, I thought that somebody just made a fucking stupid movie and fabricated a lot of stuff. But no. I looked some of the stuff up. I talked to the director personally, and he assures me that he went through a lot of extensive research, talked to a lot of people that actually were involved or have relatives that were involved in Unit 731, and they all claim that it's all real, it all happened. It was a bad deal. I mean, excuse me. To put it a little more frankly, man, according to stories and according to what you watched, some of the shit was so bad that even the nurse that had encountered everything that happened in this building had to turn up operatic music as loud as she could just so she could stop hearing the screams. The screams were too much. They got out of hand. Some of the stuff that they did was even bad by their standards. Some of the people did get in trouble for some of the shit they did, which is mind-boggling to me that anything other than what they're already doing can be any fucking worse. But it happened. Excuse me. God, what the fuck? Like I said, man. I mean, it's 4 hours long. Take it as you will. If you really don't have anything else going on, you've got 4 hours to spare, and you want to watch something that's pretty interesting in its own right, man, whether it's true or not, I think you should check out Philosophy of a Knife by Andrey Iskanov. It's a really trippy tale. It's like watching a snuff film. It really is. I mean, it's scary. It's creepy, and it will make you question your morals. I mean, I spent a good month after watching this movie asking myself, is this really what I want to fucking do with my life? Is this really what I want to do in my free time? Is watch some shit like this? It's fucking horrible, people. It creeped me out. Even talking about this shit now makes me remember some of the stuff that I saw. I don't want to watch it again. I've seen the movie once, and I have no urge to go watch it again. It's that crazy. It's that fucked up. Whether it's true, whether it's not, Iskanov's Philosophy of a Knife has easily just slowly crept into American homes, and he's not fucking around. The movie's kind of cool. The movie is done well, but I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, it's kind of iffy with me. I mean, it's up in the air. It's a good movie, but it does take a while to get to the point, and some parts of the movie you just kind of want to fast forward because there's really not a lot of point to it. It's just like you're constantly watching people being tortured over and over again, and just how much of that shit you really want to watch. You need to, you know, if you got a good story to follow it, then okay, that's cool. You can deal with it, but I've seen enough, dude. I really don't need to see these poor women, these poor helpless women being strapped to tables and have their fucking faces melted off from experiments just so they can see what happens to them. That shit's fucked up, and it's just not natural. Philosophy of a Knife is one of those movies that you should check out at least once. I will say that. Whether you like it or not, I do believe if you want to call yourself a true horror fan, watch it one time. You might like it, you might not. I'm on the fence with it. I enjoyed it. It's a movie that I own. It's a movie that, sadly, as gross and disgusting as it is, I do like to tell people, yes, I do own this movie because of what I do and my job in this industry. It's necessary for me to fully watch shit like this so I don't make myself into a hypocrite and tell people, oh, I'm a horror fan. Well, yeah, I can say that because I've seen this fucking movie and I've seen a lot like it. Check it out. That's all I can say. If you can't find the movie, come to me and I'll steer you in the right direction. I'll help you look at this movie. I'll help you get it checked out. Alright, man. Metal Orange people, peace.